In January 6th, you are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
September 16, 2025. The Senate Judiciary Committee. What began as a standard FBI oversight hearing quickly escalated into one of the most intense confrontations in the history of Congress. FBI Director Kash Patel took his place at the witness table, while Senator Adam Schiff faced him, a former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, the lead impeachment manager in the past, a prosecutor skilled at pressing a witness. Today, Schiff came prepared with evidence. The topic of discussion, Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker, an accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein, the individual who possesses the secrets to one of the largest scandals in contemporary American history. Just a few weeks earlier, she was inexplicably moved from a medium-security prison to a minimum-security club-fed facility in Texas. The timing, highly questionable, the circumstances, impossible to defend, and Kash Patel, about to have the worst day of his career. If this is your first time on this channel, buckle up. You're about to witness a masterclass in congressional interrogation. This is not a display for political gain. This is a systematic dismantling based on evidence. Subscribe now and activate notifications. What you're about to witness alters everything. The background. A transfer that violated protocols. Let's clarify the details before we delve into the confrontation. Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty in December 2021 on 5 charges: sex trafficking a minor, conspiring to entice minors, conspiring to transport minors, transporting a minor, and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. She received a 20-year sentence. Following her conviction, she was incarcerated at FBI Tallahassee, a low-security federal facility in Florida. It may not be cozy, but it isn't harsh. It's typical for her offenses. Then a shift occurred. On July 24, 2025, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who previously served as Trump's personal defense lawyer, held a 9-hour meeting with Maxwell over 2 days. They discuss her knowledge of Epstein's associates, her testimony, what she knows. 1 week later, August 1, 2025, Maxwell is transferred to federal prison Camp Bryan in Bryan, Texas. Not just any transfer. This is a minimum security facility. The kind that houses white-collar criminals. Elizabeth Holmes is there, the Ranos fraud, Jen Shah from Real Housewives, wire fraud, that kind of place. Here's the problem. Bureau of Prisons policy explicitly states that sex offenders must be housed in at least low-security facilities. Minimum security camps are off-limits, unless someone grants a waiver. Who possesses that authority? Only the administrator of the BOP's Designation and Sentence Computation Center. It is not a straightforward process. It is rare and necessitates a valid reason. Maxwell, found guilty of trafficking minors for sex, somehow received that waiver. Just days after her meeting with the Deputy Attorney General, who previously served as Trump's personal lawyer. Now she finds herself in a facility that offers work release programs, opportunities for a nursing degree, and dormitory-style accommodations. Victims of Epstein expressed their outrage. Virginia Giuffer's family issued a statement. This action reeks of a cover-up. Ghislaine Maxwell is a sexual predator who has physically harmed minor children. She deserves no leniency. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse called for documents to clarify the transfer. Prison consultants publicly stated that there must have been some influence, no doubt about it. This is the context when Senator Adam Schiff began questioning FBI Director Kash Patel on September 16. The opening salvo Schiff started methodical, calm, precise. This is how prosecutors work: build the foundation first, then spring the trap. Director Patel, I want to follow up on Senator Kennedy's question about the Epstein files. Senator Kennedy posed a direct question to you, asking, considering your review of most of the files, who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? Your answer was, just himself. There's no credible information, none. If there were, I would have filed the case yesterday regarding any trafficking to other individuals. Schiff paused, allowing that to resonate with the committee and the cameras. Senator Kennedy then inquired, so the answer is no one, to which you replied, based on the information we have. Therefore, Director Patel, is your testimony today that throughout all the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein did not traffic anyone other than himself? Is that your statement? Observe Patel's response. I never claimed that Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else. Schiff didn't miss a beat. Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Senator Kennedy's question. Patel tried to dodge. And I said the information that 3 administrations have had access to made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute. Schiff cut him off. I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Giuffre who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise. And you're informing the American public today that the Epstein list consists of just one name, Jeffrey Epstein. This is shocking. Patel has just testified that, despite decades of victim accounts, flight records, photographs, and witness testimonies, the FBI claims Epstein acted alone. Just one name, that's it. The largest sex trafficking ring in American history, and according to the FBI director, it was a solitary action. Schiff had illustrated the ridiculousness. Now he was prepared to link it to Maxwell. The Maxwell transfer inquiry * Schiff changed his focus. Director Patel, who was responsible for deciding to transfer Ghislaine Maxwell to a minimum security prison camp, Patel replied. The Bureau of Prisons made that choice. A straightforward response. Shift the blame. A typical bureaucratic maneuver. However, Schiff wasn't convinced. The Bureau of Prisons. And you think the American public should accept that the Bureau of Prisons, acting independently with no external influence, decided to transfer Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, a convicted sex trafficker, to a minimum security institution that clearly breaches BOP policy for sex offenders. You expect the American public to swallow that? Patel attempted to maintain his position. I'm not familiar with the day-to-day movements of inmates, Schiff interjected. Do you think they're naive? Just 4 words, uttered with deadly accuracy. The chamber fell silent. Do you think they're naive? Schiff pressed on. Todd Blanche, the former criminal defense attorney for the president, now your deputy attorney general, held meetings with Maxwell for 2 days, 9 hours, discussing Epstein's associates. And 1 week later, she's transferred to a facility that violates policy for sex offenders. You want us to believe there's no connection. Do you believe that the American populace is uninformed? Patel's face turned red. His voice grew louder. No, I believe the American people recognize the truth. My aim is to safeguard this nation, to implement historic reforms, and to fight against the misuse of intelligence by individuals like you. There it was. The diversion. When unable to defend the facts, launch an attack on the interrogator. But Schiff wasn't finished. The outburst * what unfolded next will be analyzed in law schools and political science programs for many years to come. Patel, now yelling over Schiff, we have repeatedly demonstrated that you are a liar in Russiagate and in the events of January 6th. You are the greatest fraud to ever occupy a seat in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and a complete coward. Schiff tried to respond, but Patel kept going. I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best, the chamber erupted. Chairman Chuck Grassley slammed his gavel repeatedly. Order, order, Ranking Member Dick Durbin yelled. Take control of the situation. Finally, Grassley shouted, both of you be quiet. Schiff, once order was restored, delivered his response calmly, deliberately. You can appoint an internet troll as the FBI director, but they will always just be an internet troll. That's spot on. Precise. Harsh. Here's what occurred. Kash Patel, the head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, when questioned about why a convicted sex trafficker was given special treatment shortly after meeting with the Deputy Attorney General, had no response. There was no rationale for the violation of policy, no explanation for the timing, no defense for the negative appearance of the situation. Instead, he resorted to shouting. He called names. He shifted the focus to Russiagate and January 6th. This is a typical strategy when one lacks supporting facts. Why this is significant, let's analyze what Schiff uncovered in this interaction. First, The official stance of the FBI is that Jeffrey Epstein only trafficked victims to himself. Despite victim testimony naming names, despite flight logs, despite photographs, the client list, according to Patel, has one name, Jeffrey Epstein. This directly contradicts everything we know. Virginia Giuffre testified she was trafficked to Prince Andrew. Multiple victims have named others. The evidence exists. The FBI asserts that there is no credible information prompting an investigation into anyone else. Secondly, Ghislaine Maxwell, the only living individual who possesses the complete truth about Epstein's operation, was moved to a low-security Club Fed right after a meeting with Trump's former personal attorney, who currently holds the position of Deputy Attorney General. This transfer contravenes BOP policy, as sex offenders are not meant to be placed in minimum security facilities. However, Maxwell received a special waiver. Who authorized it? Why? Patel remains silent on this matter. Whether he chooses not to speak or is unable to, it gives off the impression of a deal. Thirdly, Patel lacked any defense. When faced with the timeline, the policy breach, and the dubious circumstances, he erupted. Personal insults, yelling, evasion. Innocent individuals do not respond in this manner. Those with valid justifications do not become defensive when confronted with simple inquiries regarding their decisions. Patel's reaction told us everything we need to know. He can't defend what happened because what happened is indefensible. The bigger picture asterisk, this isn't just about one prison transfer. This is about a pattern of protecting powerful people. Think about what we've learned across multiple hearings. Ted Lieu asterisk exposed that 47 names exist in FBI reports marked with codes: political sensitivity, diplomatic relations, national security, executive branch protection. 47 individuals are being protected from inquiry. Thomas Massey asterisk disclosed that FBI FD 302 documents, official witness statements, identify at least 20 men to whom Epstein trafficked victims. These include bankers, billionaires, politicians, and a prince. Patel conceded that he never actually read those documents. Now Adam Schiff has revealed that Maxwell, the key witness involved, was transferred to a comfortable facility just days after meeting with Trump's former attorney. The FBI director is unable to clarify why this happened, resorting to shouting about Russiagate instead. Do you see the trend? At every opportunity, evidence is present, names are known, witness statements are available, yet investigations fail to occur, files remain unreleased, and anyone with too much knowledge receives preferential treatment to silence them. Maxwell in minimum security isn't punishment, it's a reward. For what? Presumably for cooperation, or silence, or both. The Todd Blanche connection. Let's talk about that 9-hour meeting. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche sat with Ghislaine Maxwell for 2 full days in July. The conversation centered around what she knew regarding Epstein's connections. Schiff's questioning indicated that during that interview, Maxwell informed Blanche about Trump cabinet members being linked to Epstein. Surprisingly, Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, who holds the second highest position in national law enforcement, didn't even inquire about their identities. Read that carefully. Maxwell claims there are connections between Trump cabinet members and Epstein, yet the Deputy AG fails to request names. This isn't a legitimate interview. It's more like a staged performance. They seem to be going through the motions to give the appearance of an investigation while ensuring that no real information is disclosed. Just 1 week later, Maxwell ends up in Club Fed. Is that merely a coincidence? The policy violation asterisk experts in prison consulting have made it clear. Maxwell's transfer involved some behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Sam Mangle, a federal prison consultant, told NPR. To transfer her to a camp, strings had to have been pulled. No question about it. BOP policy is explicit. Sex offenders go to low security or higher. Minimum security camps are for non-violent offenders and white-collar criminals. Maxwell trafficked minors. That's violent, that's predatory. By the Bureau's own rules, she shouldn't be eligible, but someone waived the policy. The only person with that authority is the BOP Administrator of Designation and Sentence Computation. Did they do it on their own, or were they told to do it? Schiff asked Patel directly, who made the decision. Patel mentioned BOP, yet he failed, either due to inability or unwillingness, to clarify which individual at BOP made an exception, the reasoning behind it, or if there was any political influence involved. When Schiff dug deeper, Patel lost his temper, as he lacked a satisfactory explanation. What Maxwell receives at Club Fed *, it's important to understand what this relocation signifies. FPC Bryan is not meant for punishment. Rather, it serves as a rehabilitation center for individuals who have erred, not for offenders involved in child trafficking. Maxwell now benefits from programs allowing work release courses for a nursing degree, dormitory-style living conditions, as opposed to cells, opportunities for recreation and other activities, limited oversight. Other residents include Elizabeth Holmes, convicted of fraud, and Jen Shah, convicted of wire fraud. These are white-collar offenders serving relatively brief sentences. Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years for trafficking minors. She shouldn't be placed in this facility, but she is nonetheless. And according to emails leaked to NBC News and the House Judiciary Committee, Maxwell is happier at Bryan. She wrote to friends and family praising the cleanliness and safety, and noting the facility is run in an orderly fashion which makes for a safer, more comfortable environment. She even has direct communication with the warden to organize visits and talk with lawyers. Other inmates expressed to NBC that they feel she is receiving more care and attention than the average prisoner. One inmate who voiced concerns to the media about Maxwell's situation was swiftly relocated to a higher security facility in Houston. This is considered a punitive action by prison experts. The implication is clear. Maxwell is under protection, and anyone who speaks out about it faces repercussions. The victim's reaction * Virginia Giuffer's family was vocal about their feelings upon hearing about the transfer. This action reeks of a cover-up. The Trump administration should disregard anything Maxwell claims, as the government itself pursued charges against her for being a habitual liar. Their outrage is justified. Maxwell was convicted of trafficking them, of destroying their childhoods, of enabling Epstein's abuse. And now she's in a facility with work programs and nursing classes while the victims still live with trauma every day. The system isn't protecting victims, it's protecting Maxwell, and by extension, protecting whoever she has information about. Patel's credibility destroyed by the conclusion of Schiff's questioning. Patel's credibility lay in ruins. This was not due to partisan assaults, but rather his own statements and actions. He testified that Epstein was the sole trafficker, which is blatantly absurd and contradicted by victim testimonies. He asserted that the Bureau of Prisons made the decision to transfer Maxwell independently, which seems implausible considering the timing and the breaches of protocol. He was unable to clarify why the transfer took place just days after Blanche's interview. There was no logical explanation provided. When he was pressed further, he lost his composure, shouting, hurling insults, and making personal attacks. Such behavior does not belong to someone who has the truth on their side. It indicates despair. The aftermath of the shouting match following the hearing, Schiff released a statement. Kash Patel came to the Senate today not to do his job, but to save his job. The hardworking men and women of the FBI deserve a director who isn't just performing for an audience of one. Audience of one. Trump. Because that's who Patel was performing for with his outburst. He knew he couldn't defend the Maxwell transfer on the facts, so he gave Trump what Trump wants, a fighter who attacks Democrats. Text: red meat serves as the foundation. However, this does not alter the reality. Maxwell received preferential treatment. The timeline is incriminating. The violation of policy is evident, and Patel lacks an explanation. The unresolved questions currently we remain unaware of. Who granted approval for Maxwell's transfer waiver? What details did Maxwell share with Blanche during those 9 hours? Why didn't Blanche inquire about the names of Trump cabinet members linked to Epstein? Will Maxwell ever speak publicly about her knowledge? What arrangement, if any, was made to ensure her cooperation or silence? These inquiries are significant because Maxwell is not merely another prisoner. She represents the final living connection to the largest sex trafficking operation in contemporary history. She knows names, she has evidence, and she's being housed in a facility that treats her better than most people treat their guests. What happens next? Senator Sheldon Whitehouse has requested all documents concerning Maxwell's transfer, with a deadline of August 28th. As of now, it remains unclear whether those documents have been provided. Representative Jamie Raskin sent a letter to the warden of the BOP seeking explanations for the punishment of inmates who discussed Maxwell with the media. He has also requested to visit the facility to speak with the inmates directly. Several congressional committees are currently conducting investigations. However, these investigations require time. Meanwhile, Maxwell's appeal to the Supreme Court is still under consideration. If her conviction is overturned, she could potentially be released free, with all her secrets still hidden. That's the worst-case scenario. Considering all we've observed, the preferential treatment, the breaches of policy, the lack of transparency, it's not out of the realm of possibility. The fundamental problem here is what this comes down to. The United States government has the evidence to prosecute dozens of powerful men who participated in or enabled Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operation. Victims have named names. Documents exist. Witness statements are on file. Flight logs are public. But instead of investigating, instead of prosecuting, instead of seeking justice for more than 250 abused children, the FBI says there's no credible information about anyone else. And the one person who could expose it all, Ghislaine Maxwell, gets moved to a minimum security prison where she's comfortable and safe. This isn't a justice system. This is a protection racket for the elite. And when Senator Adam Schiff called it out, when he asked the simple question, "Do you think the American people are stupid?" FBI Director Kash Patel had no answer except rage. The truth is simple: Maxwell's transfer happened 1 week after meeting with the Deputy Attorney General. It's a fact. The transfer breaches BOP regulations for sex offenders. It's a fact. Patel could not clarify who authorized it or for what reason. It's a fact. When pressed for answers, Patel resorted to personal insults instead of responding. It's a fact. You don't need a legal background to understand what's going on here. You don't need to have inside information. The timeline tells the whole story. Someone wanted Maxwell to feel at ease. Someone aimed to place her in a facility where she would be secure, content, and inclined to cooperate on their terms. That individual had enough influence to bypass federal prison policy and execute it within a week. The only lingering question is, what did they receive in exchange? Her silence, her compliance against chosen individuals, a guarantee she won't name certain names. We don't know, but we know something was exchanged, because prison transfers like this don't happen by accident. Final thoughts. September 16, 2025, will be remembered as the day FBI Director Kash Patel lost all credibility on the Epstein case. Not because Democrats attacked him, but because he couldn't answer basic questions about obvious impropriety. Senator Adam Schiff did what prosecutors do: presented facts, asked questions, let the witness destroy himself. And Patel stepped up, in an impressive manner. Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are entitled to justice. They have the right to know that the individuals who victimized them will be held responsible. Instead, they face an FBI director who insists Epstein was a lone actor, a deputy AG who neglects to request names, and a convicted trafficker living comfortably in federal prison. This is not justice. This is a betrayal. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video. The mainstream media will suppress this story within a week. However, the evidence does not vanish. The facts persist. Ghislaine Maxwell received preferential treatment. Kash Patel is unable to clarify why. And Adam Schiff has just revealed it to the public. The cover-up is falling apart. The truth is emerging. And there's nothing they can do to prevent it, because once you ask, do you think they're stupid? And the answer is a screaming meltdown. Everyone knows exactly what's being hidden. Justice for those affected. Responsibility for the influential. That's what we seek, and we will not cease until we achieve it.